Many years ago, a colleague of mine described his first sports memory: Roger Maris's 61st home run. How lucky, I thought, that his first sports memory was documented in highlight reels, newspaper accounts, and history books. Being a kid growing up in the 1960s in a small Kansas town, my first sports memory was a little more obscure. But as the years have passed, and I have continued to recall this event in my mind, I have come to appreciate this experience more and more. It is no longer simply a memory of a game played long ago. The glory days of Kansas high school basketball stretched over a quarter century, from 1941 to 1966, when the sport bound together communities across the state. It was a time before school consolidations, when more than 600 high schools competed each year in tournaments for the title state champion. Many of these schools represented towns that have long since faded from the map. Towns like Sun City, Castleton, and Burns, to name just a few. Like life in these towns, a lot has changed in basketball over the years. Somewhere along the way, the crossover dribble was invented, and the short shorts eliminated. But in the spring of 1966, one thing had not changed. Basketball was still king. On a Saturday night in early March of that year, a glorious and dramatic battle was waged in a tiny gym in Haven, Kansas. One that made a lasting impression on a 9-year-old fan who was caught up in the excitement that a small town had for its hardwood heroes. This is that memory.
We knew we had a special team because 3 of us had started our junior year, and a couple others. Of course, Mike and I, we were from before kindergarten, so we were so close. And Mike, Bill, Daryl. See, Frank came in. He was from Chase. We didn't know him that well. Just had a good group of guys, and we liked being together. And of course, adding Earl, we knew we were going to be pretty good. I think. I don't know that we knew we'd have that successful of a season. Of course, our goal was to make it to state and, of course, win it. Lynchburg was B, but, of course, yeah, they were the other team in the CPL. And that first time we played them, it was double overtime. And I think Mike made the winning shot.
When Downing's 20-foot shot zipped the net, Lynchburg attempted to call a timeout, but the clock's buzzer ending the game had sounded. Time had run out on the determined Vikings, and bedlam was breaking loose on the court. Almost immediately, the floor was covered with Lions fans, most of whom were packed around the edges. No seats were available from the middle of the B game on. Downing disappeared under the onrush of fans almost before his shot hit the floor, it seemed. But he soon emerged again, riding the shoulders of Frank Tappan.
That was our goal, and we set goals to win the league, and then also to win the regional and then go to the state. We didn't at that time we didn't set anything that would win the state. We just wanted to get there.
Played Medicine Lodge the first game, and we just came out of the gates. I think we were up 10 or 12 in just a couple of minutes. Ended up beating them 112 to 56. We were pretty hyped going into the game against Haven. We played a pretty good game, but Haven couldn't miss. And people, look, we had probably a better chance of losing that game because Darrell made a shot at the end that if he'd missed, we'd have lost.
I remember when the game started, there were people lined up to the edge of the floor, and actually some of them were on the floor, and you had to take the ball out inside, move up to take it out because there wasn't room to get out of bounds. You had to be on the floor when you threw it in. So it was a big crowd. I remember that.
Both teams were tense at the opening, and to top off Lions' problems, starter David Moody was whistled for 2 fouls before there was even a score in the ball game. As the game progressed, the Buhler Crusaders took complete control of the court, and after 1 quarter of play led 15-9. There was little doubt that the Lions' remarkable season was facing an inglorious end, a substantial defeat at the hands of an underdog. With 5 minutes remaining in the half, Buhler appeared well on its way to posting a rout. Lions was down 13, 24-11, but the Lions fired away in desperation to close within 8, 32-24 by the halftime. Buhler so dominated the action in the first half that it seemed improbable to even the most optimistic that the Lions could rebound.
It seemed like we were down about 8 points the whole game. Looking at the score, it's about the way it was. We just couldn't catch up with them.
I remember right up to half, they really come back strong. And I think we probably caught up within about 3 or 4 minutes in the second half. And from there, it was really close all the way. They had one good player that was really made a lot of points, and didn't seem like we could stop him because he'd score. I think his name was Gary Rich or something like that.
First 3 minutes of the third period, the Lions suddenly were playing the run-and-shoot style that had produced 19 straight wins. Bill Belong poked through 3 straight field goals from inside to pull the Lions within 2, 32-30, with 5:20 in the period. With 3 minutes left in the third quarter, Mike Downing tied the score 34-34. Earl Hughes, shooting and passing with precision, tied it again, 36-36. From there, the score seemed to stair-step upward. Belong tied the count again at 40-40. With 2:47 remaining in the third period, David Moody tipped in 2 after grabbing a rebound to give the Lions their first lead in the ballgame, 42-40. But the Crusaders were back in the lead, 48-46, going into the final quarter. Through the early minutes of the period, it was Earl Hughes gunning for the Lions and Gary Rich for Buhler, but with 6 minutes remaining, Lions center Bill Belong fouled out. Then Buhler center Dennis Barkman fouled out. Buhler slowly started to pull away, going up 59-55 with 4:33 remaining. As Gary Rich jumped the Crusaders ahead time and again, Lions stayed right behind with shooting of Darrell Fry and Earl Hughes and David Moody. Hughes tied the score 61-61 with 2:05 showing on the clock. Then Moody made 2 vital free throws and tied the game, 63-63. Buhler led again, 65-63 with 1:35 showing, and Fry tied it with 1:07. The Crusaders decided to play for the last shot of the game, but with 17 seconds showing, turned the ball over on a traveling violation. A shot by Fry at the buzzer missed the mark, and after 32 minutes of action, the game was tied, 65-65. In overtime, Bueller quickly jumped to a 4-point lead, 69-65, but Fry answered with field goals on consecutive possessions and a pair of charity shots to pull the Lions within one, 71-70 with a minute showing. With 28 seconds remaining and the score tied at 73, David Moody was fouled and converted both attempts, moving Lions into its first lead of the overtime, 75-73. But with 16 seconds left, John Schmidt connected on a long shot for Bueller, tying the score again at 75-75.
Have a timeout, and we talked about it, exactly what the play was. Probably Darrell in the corner or Earl out top of the key. Those were where they usually shot.
And that was kind of our philosophy. Whoever was scoring, that's who the ball should go to. Whoever was having a good game.
And as I said, I know it was to either get the ball to Earl or to Darrell and let them take the shot, but Bueller knew that too, and so they were guarding us tight that we couldn't get the ball to them.
Mike Downing threw it into Moody, and he scored underneath.
I just remember, like I said, getting the ball right about at the free throw, and I faked the guy, and he went up. You know, he was trying to block it, and I just took a step around him, and I think it was a 10-foot jump or something like that, and it went in, and they took a timeout, and of course we were excited because it looked like we were going to win. We thought we had a pretty good chance, and of course we set up our full court press, and they didn't get the ball in because Earl deflected it when they threw it in, and we won, and boy, were we excited.
The crowd noise and the newspaper headlines have long since faded. Although nearly 50 years have passed since that game was played, it seems as though my memories of it grow more special, even as time marches on. Just as the newspaper predicted, anyone who witnessed the final moments at the Haven Gym live will never forget how exciting it was. For me, those final 5 seconds are frozen in time. Lions would get as far as the state semifinal before losing its first game of the season, but no one should ever forget the journey it took to get there. And even though the season didn't end the way Hollywood would have written it, the drama and the magic of that game stands as one of the highlights of my youth.